want to move to acknowledge the complaint in the legal
Sure, I
opinion?
would make a motion to acknowledge receipt of the complaint of open law meeting, and I will also move to acknowledge the response from our attorneys that will be sent to the Attorney General's office regarding this complaint.
I'll second it.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
I will also make a motion to have Nicole, forward that along, obviously, to make our response, because we do have a deadline to respond to that by.
Yep, to the complaint.
Yep.
We should have a roll call.
Need a second?
I'll second.
Okay, those in favor? Kelly?
Aye.
Yeah.
Aye.
Robert's yes. All right. That behind us. All right, next order of business, pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, got any visitor comments before we get started? Next on the list is appointment requests. And we have one from Margaret Rising, Council on Aging.
Yep, we have that letter, and right now we only have Ned Kelly on the board, and the outreach coordinator also recommended her, so she came highly recommended by the Council on Aging.
I would move that we appoint Margaret Rising to the Council on Aging.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, and the other one is Zoning Board of Appeals for Ms. Cyran.
Did you get my emails that I forwarded you today? Rick Romano is also
Interested.
interested in that. He emailed the select board.
I have a letter here that was written up, but yeah, I didn't get
From him?
anything. Yep.
Yep.
Do we know how many people are on the CBA right now?
Two,
Two.
Okay, three.
Glenn Wojcik and Harry Comerford.
It's a board of three, is it?
I don't know if
Used to
it's,
be 5 or
I don't
7.
know. The only thing I could find was this that had two. So,
Should we maybe get more information on how many,
it just had, yeah, just lists it, and I did want to reach out to Ryan today, but we both got busy and he left.
he
and
here?
He's not.
Oh, he was when I walked in.
Is.
Yeah.
He is.
He's still here?
Yeah.
Sorry. I think it's in the bylaws, it's 5.
Okay.
I move that we appoint Liz Cyran and Rick Romano to the ZBA.
We do it separately. To appoint Ms. Cyran for a second.
It's 5.
5?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. No second, do I, do you want to make
Can't
another
second
motion?
it.
Huh? Can you make another motion? I'm not gonna
I
second.
move that we appoint Elizabeth Cyran to the ZBA.
Do I have a second? No second.
The motion dies for a lack of a second. I would now like to move that we appoint Rick Romano to the ZBA.
Do I have a second?
Can I just read these? Oh, that was just following it because the email that I just.
You can second if you want.
Yeah, I'll second that one.
Moved and second. All those in favor?
All right.
All those opposed? outside.
Do we know what someone, I guess,
My problem is I don't know what anyone does on that board. I think you have to have some legal experience.
I was on the ZBA of my town for a long time, and it's all legal. It's all if you get denial of a building permit.
but I guess
or-
that's my concern is
Yeah.
like what they need to know in their background for that.
I used to be on it, and you kind of learn as you go, leaning on town council, but it was exceedingly rare that it came up. And I think that helped us not have meetings, you know, and there was nothing to do, but it certainly could become important. So,
Can we table this?
Sure.
Can we table them for now?
We can table this for now and we can bring it back up when we have some information.
but we appointed Rick Romano, or?
No.
No,
No, we didn't vote?
we had a 1-to-1, so it was dead. Great. So reconvene.
I guess I should have spoke up before I,
They
yeah.
wanted to look
I
into
wanted
it.
more information.
All right, so next on the list is Hardwick Rod and Gun Club. Request for extension quiet hours to 10 p.m. to 11 p.m.
11, yeah. So we haven't really been-
On October 14th for a special event. So you want a one-day permission?
Zach Barrett,
So you're looking for a one-day,
yeah, just go to 2300, 7 o'clock. We're starting at 7 to 11.
Can you explain what it's gonna be?
It's gonna be what?
Can you explain what it's gonna be?
It's a Ripfire Rampage, which is a countrywide match. And they've stepped up a little bit, and they're gonna let do like a night activity, and under lights, all safety conditions. And it's a precision rifle. I don't know if you've ever been with precision rifle, 22s. I mean, the average rifle is $5,000. And it's has a very low report, it's a 22. And the state says ordinance you shoot to 10. But last time we had it, we went a little bit over, and we did awards and stuff, the generators were running. And PD showed up, this popping noise was a generator running out of gas. We just went up along it to 11, so.
Does the PD have any concerns?
I emailed them and they didn't respond, so.
Okay.
And I did,
I
you
sent
can barely
this
hear it.
letter.
I mean, I walked all around last time we did it. We're gonna try to do two a year, two spring and fall next year.
Have you spoken to the police department?
Yeah, he told me to come see you guys.
do we have a lot of complaints up there?
I have 0.
I don't know of any.
Yeah, I mean, I would say as long as the PD's aware of it and they know so that they don't, show up because.
Right,
they don't know.
say some trip up.
Yeah, I don't have any issues with them.
And so like I say, it's a real low report. It's gonna be cold out, so people don't like dead of summer. It's not like a centerfire rifle. That's loud.
And what's your normal hours?
Pardon?
What are the normal hours that you?
I can't have deaf.
What are your normal hours to stop
Till
shooting?
night, like
Just
darkness.
So that time of year is what? 6 o'clock probably.
Yeah, it's getting dark, so. So they got fine on, as the state says I could go to 10, but I have to come, so you guys go past 11, or to 11.
Cool, yeah.
It's just in case we run over a little bit.
So you're not necessarily gonna be shooting until 11?
No.
It's
Hopefully
the, it's the function itself,
Yeah.
you're just trying to be
That's right.
cautious, okay.
Depending, if it's a little, it might be a little bit larger, so they may run a little bit to 10:30 or something.
Then fine.
You want to make a motion just to make it official?
Sure. I would make a motion to approve that the Hardwick Rod and Gun Club for their event on October 14th, 2023, that starting at 7 p.m., the Rimfire Rampage, and will not exceed past 11 p.m.
Second.
I'll second it.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Alright.
We're all set.
You're all
So,
good.
Thanks, guys. I won't bother you no more.
Yeah, just want to walk through that.
You want me to give this, talk to Jimmy, or you take care of that?
Well, might as well call Jim. Tom. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Paul.
Absolutely.
So I'm gonna let the school discuss, they came in tonight to discuss a couple things with us. Just gonna move you guys up on the agenda.
Okay, great. So I'm Colleen Wuhan, the interim superintendent of schools, so thanks for having us. This is Kevin Clark, he's our director of building and grounds for the Quabbin Regional School District. So a couple things, we've been sending out a district-wide email, that's something we'll continue to do. I think, Nicole, you've been receiving that from us. We tried to put you guys on our mailing list so the select boards would all have it. Council on Aging, just so we could be transparent so you all know what's happening from month to month in the district. So if anyone wants to get that and doesn't, let us know.
Board of Health would like that.
Okay, great, we'll send that out. We'll remember that. And then the other thing we want to talk about was in the spring, we have a chiller, an HVAC project at our middle high school. And so all the towns voted to fund that differently. So both New Braintree and Ocam said at that time they were going to pay up front, while Hardwick and Barry and Hubbardston said they were going to seek borrowing from the school districts. So we had a meeting to talk about that, and after looking at our regional agreement, and people at the meeting, Nicole was there, bringing up a concern, if we're a town who can pay ahead of time, we pay based on our apportionment, the number of students we have in the district as of October 2022. But for the towns that needed to borrow, their apportionment would change over the life in terms of the loan. So if your student enrollment went up a little bit, you paid a little bit more. Next year, if your student enrollment went down, you paid a little bit less. So there was a question about whether that was sort of equitable between the towns that could pay ahead of time and the towns that had to seek funding. So we looked into it, we've been working with our legal counsel, and they suggested that we enter into something called an intermunicipal agreement. Basically, all of our towns, all 5 towns, no matter how you're paying for the project, would have to sign off that on this one-time project, we would not follow the language of the regional agreement, which says that the borrowing is apportioned over time, but instead, everybody's apportionment would be as of October 2022. So it stays consistent for you as you borrow over time. So we have that, legal counsel has gotten that to us, we're waiting for a little bit more feedback, and if you guys are on board with that, then we'll have all the 5 select boards sign off on that, and we'll be good to go. Do you have any questions about that?
Sounds pretty cut and dry.
Honestly, normally, we've never had a situation where some of the towns have paid up front. Normally, we do this with really large projects, and people are like, thank you, that's great. As our enrollment changes, it makes sense that our amount changes. But in this particular case, because some of the towns could afford to pay up front, it was a smaller project. It just sort of changed the dynamics of that. So that's something that we'll be reaching out to you again to set up a meeting. Again, all 5 towns have to sign off on it. We did set the terms of the loan for 5 years, which is what all the towns that are borrowing ended up being in
So
favor
if
of.
some towns don't want to sign that, then does it fall back to
So if
the
all 5
agreement?
towns don't sign it, then it would fall back to the regional agreement. But Kevin and I have visited, you're our 4th out of
Oh, okay.
out of the 5 towns, and everyone seems to be on board with it. So I don't anticipate a problem at all.
We don't need to have a town meeting for this.
No,
We already voted to
Yeah.
do it, now we just have to do it, yeah.
yeah.
That was
exactly.
on our last annual meeting.
Just the fun.
Right. Thank you.
If I may, I've wondered for a while, and it's not just about this issue, but how do you figure enrollment? And specifically, I'm wondering, like here in Hardwick, the enrollment in the Quabbin Regional School District is what exactly? How does school choice figure in that? How do homeschoolers figure in that? And so forth.
It's a great question. So we submit to the state a report twice a year, and in the first report is October 1st. So every year, October 1st, they certify our students, and our students are coded by town that they reside in, or if they're school choice, homeschooling, so on and so forth. And so they figure out Chapter 70 based on the students who are in your school from your town, right? So that's how we get our reimbursement from the state. But also, it's how we know exactly what your numbers are. So if you have school choice students who go to Hardwick, we don't consider them Hardwick students. The students of Hardwick are your students in our schools.
And the homeschoolers, if they are approved that are
They're not
home,
factored in
they're
at
not
all.
in there at all?
Right,
Okay.
yeah. Does that make sense? You're welcome. And so the last thing we have is just, we encountered a strange situation and sort of for us an opportunity to improve our systems and structures. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
But one of our towns entered into a Greener Communities grant for one of our school buildings. And what that was the town sought the funding to pay for the project. So the school didn't have any oversight over that project because it was something that the towns can seek and not the schools per se. So this project's been going on for how long, Kevin? A few years. And over the summer, we had some people come into our school building. They were working and there was a problem with a sprinkler system. Am I right about that? Heating. Kevin will say more about it. But while they were in the building. And the challenge we had was none of our staff was in sight on that building. The people were in the building working independently and we were unaware of the situation, as was the local fire and police departments. So we realized that we had to put a procedure in place so that when we have projects like this, we can all be on the same page. And when workers are going into our facilities, we really need to know and understand what's happening and be able to have some final say on that. So what I have in front of you is a document that we sort of created as guidelines, sort of if you think of it as, in Kevin's world, he calls it like this pre-construction checklist and process, so that we can all ensure that we know what the project is. People who need to be involved are informed of that, including our local, potentially highway department, fire, police, so on and so forth. And we have a clear process for who's responsible as a situation might arise. We don't anticipate this happening very often at all. Normally, we oversee all of the facilities projects. It's very rarely that something like this would happen. But what we're asking for is that we would have exactly that, like a pre-construction meeting. We'd identify our timelines, our calendar, when the work is going to be done. We would like the work to be done so it's least disruptive to the students, obviously, and also when our staff can be there. So primarily, we'd want a project to be happening during the hours that our custodial staff is working, things like that. And then after the project is done, we would follow up with like an after action meeting and things like that. So we brought this to 4 of the towns. We've gotten some really great feedback. We've made adjustments to it. So we ask you to read it over, and if you have any additional suggestions or things like that, we'd appreciate hearing them. And like I said, we don't anticipate using it very often. I don't know, Kevin, if you want to...
Basically, we're trying to protect the integrity of the building. So we want to make sure that if there is a construction project going, that a member of my staff that's very familiar with the building, the functionality of it, etc., is actually there in case something goes wrong. In the case that we're referring to, there was nobody there. Nobody knew people were even in there. And there was an issue, and there was nobody there to address it. We just want to protect the building, protect your building, protect our belongings, etc., and just make sure the project goes, clear, like any typical construction project would.
Are you guys gonna be putting something out, like some kind of an agreement letter that we would sign off just to state that we
Not
agree with this,
necessarily.
or you just-
I think we thought of this as kind of like our checklist that we would use going into all these projects. So I imagine at that time, if people had concerns with the process, that's where we would either start, make adjustments, that kind of thing.
It's just kind of a procedure thing.
Yeah,
more than anything.
exactly.
And one of the big attributes to this is also during the pre-construction meeting, just addressing, who's in charge of it, whose phone numbers, who to call when something happens, because in the instance we're referring to, I actually got a call from the police department telling me there was an issue and I didn't know anything about it. And they just kept going down the list and nobody knew anything about it. So it's just, we're trying to eliminate issues before they happen.
Fair enough.
It's pretty common in the construction world.
Yeah,
For sure.
we realized we had a problem.
Any questions?
I'm good. Thank you.
Questions?
Oh, sorry.
You're referencing a building. Which building are you referencing?
Well, it was one of our other towns, so it
So
didn't
you don't
happen
wanna
here in
tell us?
Hardwick. Well,
It doesn't, I mean, that doesn't really matter.
You mean an elementary school?
yes, it happened in
Yeah.
one of our elementary schools
Alright.
yet, and so we took it as a learning opportunity, as everything is, right? So we can do better everywhere.
Yep.
I did, at our last town meeting, I just wanted to, Eric, say to you, you had mentioned to me in the parking lot, you probably don't remember this, but training our kids to become EMTs and firefighters. I want to let you know that we are working on that.
Next.
We've been in contact with our local fire chiefs, and we're hoping to have a program up and running once we get a little bit more information, but I wanted to make sure that I follow through on that, because I know that's a need for our town, so.
And actually, the Hardwick Rescue and Emergency Squad still exists as a board of directors, and we have some money that we've decided to put into this kind of thing. We've started paying for people's EMT courses, so I'm eager to talk to you about it.
Okay, great,
Okay.
we'll connect.
Are you working with the gentleman from West Boylston? Who put that, they have one there.
There are a lot of local communities that have them, and our Oakham Fire Chief and our Hubbardston Fire Chief are sort of gathering all the information and talking to local departments that run these
Good.
programs, so, yeah, more to come on that.
That's a real win.
Yeah,
And we just hosted the police connect.
we did, we actually did. We had a mini police academy at the middle high school. We had 13 cadets for a week, and it was amazing. The state helicopter came in, the dogs came in, they did all kinds of training, and they're gonna expand that for next year as well, so that's
That's
really,
awesome.
yeah.
Considering that on the news right before I came, it was all about like huge shortages
Yes,
with police across the nation really, but it
The police
was,
department was very pleased with
Yeah, that's
the
great.
enrollment, and they plan to expand it, so we're looking forward
Nice.
to
yeah.
that. Partnering with them.
thank
That's
you
all we
so
have.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thanks
for
for
your time.
coming.
Thank you.
That's great news.
Alrighty. Next on the agenda, Personnel Committee recommendation, new position, Highway Assistant Superintendent. Promotion for highway laborer to foreman of Zach Barrett. So we did get that, we did discuss that at the Personnel Committee
Yeah.
meeting. I noticed that something was sent around today. I did not have a chance to read it.
It was just it was a tweaked description.
Job description,
Yeah.
yep, for assistant superintendent.
Yeah.
Are you guys comfortable with the job description?
Yeah.
Eric, are you-
Yes,
Okay.
as far as I know, Marty looked at it. and-
Right.
Yep.
That's what him and Lori put together, yeah.
Alright, so, do we wanna make a motion to get that out there and advertised?
Sure. I would make a motion to accept the posting for the new position, Assistant Superintendent, so that it can be posted. I think Lori wanted to,
As soon as possible.
Tomorrow,
yeah, right,
go to MMA.
MMA, that's what I was, because she was at the meeting, so.
Hmm.
I would second that motion.
Okay, any more further discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Alright, then.
Do you want me to make the next one?
Yeah, if you want.
I would also make a motion to allow the highway department to do the promotion from highway laborer to foreman for Zachary Barrett.
Have a second.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved. Do we have anybody here from the fire department?
No.
No. we wanna discuss that, or we wanna, actually, why don't we move down the agenda a little bit, see if anyone shows up. We've got sewer abatements to do.
I have the backup, I just didn't want to put it in the packet because it was so big, so if anybody cares to see,
So everything's
Back
in
up,
order. That's
everything is in
yeah,
order,
That was my
so-
only question,
Yeah.
was that,
it's just, it was a big packet, so if it's too big, I can't PDF it and email it, so. It's there,
is it just the two? Is it just two?
I think it's just one.
Or was it?
The application and the second page is the actual abatement that I sent
Oh.
over to that you sign, and then,
20 Joslin Road.
yeah.
You're saying that the apartment is vacant, right?
Yeah.
So it's been vacant since February. So it's just at 6 months now. Because isn't it 6 months?
They have to apply, and this is what, next on the agenda that I wanted to talk to you guys about. It should be somewhere, yeah, application process. They have to file within 6 months of them getting their bill, so that's what that is.
So it'll be a prorated bill.
Right. The abatement's for 386.44, so that's, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how you guys want
It's always a little quirky because you can't tell if the apartment's really been empty.
Yeah, here,
Yeah,
I have
because-
the electric bills.
The
I just
electric
didn't put
bill.
them in the packet,
Good.
but they are out here.
Well, then
I don't have an issue.
I'd move that we grant the abatement.
second.
Second,
Second, well, any more discussion? All those in
Which one?
favor?
3, yeah, because I
Aye.
cut them, get them.
aye. Sorry.
Yeah.
All right. Now, what you want to
The
discuss?
application process for sewer abatements.
Yeah.
So if you look at this front page that you have and how the application works, they have to apply this abatement within 6 months from the date of the sewer bill, which does not work for fiscal years. And so I called a couple of other wastewater treatment plants and they do 30 days. And I think it would be more prudent to do 30 days so we keep it within the fiscal year. These abatements are just going all wonky all over the
Yeah,
place.
not within
They're
the
not
year.
staying within the year. And if there's one thing that I've learned from financial management, it's that you keep everything in the same year, regardless if it's an enterprise fund. So, 6 months, you're never within the same fiscal year.
Well, how about can you write that up as something that we can go into,
Yeah,
create a regulation out of
okay,
that.
okay.
Yeah, because I'm not opposed to that.
No, I don't think
I think that definitely, yeah.
You get it and
I agree,
send it in
yeah.
for the abatement, or
Yep.
you don't get it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And, we are working on these regulations
Right,
currently, and, we'd like to, it's utility, so they are entitled to some sort of abatement because they're not using the utility, but to use their reasoning, if they don't want to rent it out, that's not, it's counterproductive
Yeah.
when we have all these vacant homes, because
Right.
then they go into disarray, and then they get abandoned, and then they become our problem. So to encourage people to, keep them occupied and keep them up to date is really what we should be encouraging, and not like, just come in if you
I agree.
don't wanna rent it out and we'll give you an abatement. So I'm working on that too. So, yeah, that's fine. I wanted to, here we're into almost September,
And
This is for last year.
Last year.
So
right.
like now I'm gonna have, it just doesn't make sense. So, yeah, I could do that.
Any more discussion about sewer regulations?
I think it makes sense to get them changed,
I know we've been
especially as we're
on
working
it.
on the regulations anyway, so.
All right, next is the superintendent's report. See, Scott's not here tonight.
No, he was going to, but he's sick. He was at work, but now he's sick, so I couldn't make it.
Okay.
I read through it, I don't really have anything.
What's sticky valve again?
Yep. All right. I don't really. Guess we can just say we accept it and
Yeah,
make it public record. Okay, now we got meeting minute approvals for June 12th, July 18th, and July 24th.
just make sure, I looked at it earlier, but nothing jumped out at me.
Move that we accept meeting minutes for June 12th, 2023.
Second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Alright, how about July 18th?
Move that we accept meeting minutes for July 18th.
Second.
Yep. Second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
July 24th?
I would make a motion to accept the meeting minutes from July 24th, 2023.
I'll second it.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Old business, Christmas on the Common Committee.
So you had asked me to find out the procedure of creating a new committee, and I was talking with Ryan about it, and there is one person who was interested, so I put it in your packet. But Ryan had an excellent point, that this is, it's not really a town committee or so, per se, it's more of a volunteer kind of committee, and to just let them have their committee on their own, that it doesn't need to be,
Good idea.
nominated by the board, they can just be their own committee.
That works.
Yeah, I like that idea.
Okay. So I'll just tell Angie that just go ahead
Just
with
do what
with
they-
Emily
yeah.
and the other people from the Do Christmas on the Common, and do whatever you need to do.
I would just ask that maybe they come in beforehand so that we know what's going on in case there's anything,
Before Christmas on the Common?
like carnival rides or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Obviously would be good.
Yeah, right.
I mean, a touch and,
Sure,
Yeah,
absolutely.
okay.
I'm in contact with Angie all the time, because
Yeah.
she's on other boards, so we'll make sure that there's no liabilities there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything you want to add?
Nope, it's a good idea.
Alright. Moving on to the ambulance agreement, West Brookfield's ambulance agreement.
We're just re-signing it.
You're just
correct?
re-signing it because when he sent it to me and I printed it out and we were all in agreement that it was the same as last year, changed the dates, he only sent me like the first 2 pages, so I just didn't feel, I just wanted you to re-sign it. I didn't feel like I wanted to just take your signature page and put it on here. I wanted you just to
That's
see it
right,
again
yeah.
and re-sign it.
You were missing every other page.
Yes. Yep.
Let me see what I got.
Oh, here. Oh, it's over here.
so that's, any other old business you guys want to discuss? Nothing?
Yeah, actually, can I back up to
Good stuff.
the highway?
Yes, May.
When we were talking about the, promoting Zachary, and I believe he's gonna have to get a CDL within a time frame,
Correct.
within a year? Is that what,
I think it said 6 months.
Is that like enforceable? Is that something we can actually do and
well, my concern was having him stick around and giving him sort of like a 2 or 3 year that he's
2
gonna
years, I
stick
think,
around.
was mentioned.
Yeah, okay.
And then I was thinking it's hard to enforce that, unless we have a contract. And then if somebody flies away, we have to pursue it in court. I mean,
Just have him sign something that he's gonna stay
an
for.
agreement. That's
2 or
what I
3
did
years,
with
at
the
least 2.
EMTs. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna have an
I'd like
agreement, but
3,
not,
but.
Marty said 2.
Okay,
And he said he's gonna try to have him get it before the snow flies, so
Yeah.
he's
perfect,
trying like immediately to have
perfect,
him.
okay. I mean, if we're gonna pay for that, then I think we should
Yeah.
be willing to.
So he's willing to sign that. He said he'd stay for at least 2 years and get it as soon as possible. So it won't, I'm sure it won't take him 2 years.
this is a discussion that Marty's already had with him.
Yeah,
Perfect.
yep, he has.
I assumed, but I just wanted to make sure that I brought that up
Yeah.
here.
We probably should touch on this, because this fired up the truck.
I did have a conversation with the chief about this, but, he's not here, so. But fire trucks are exceedingly expensive. One of our 2 responding engines is wildly out of code.
No.
And, they have a grant application
Tell
now,
right now.
but God only knows if they'll get it. And,
I thought we had gotten something.
No,
Didn't get
no, he
anything.
gave the false alarm, then he got it, and then
they sent out a letter saying, everything is cool,
everything's in order or something.
but
Oh,
yeah, but
but
it
they-
just meant that they had received it.
Gotcha,
Now, it's coming up in the next month or 2, they should know,
that they should know.
but
Yep.
it is always a long shot. And every year, the engines get older, and
Yeah.
the chief's point right now is that the Pierce, actually, it's a beautiful fire engine, but it doesn't meet any kind of requirement, and it will cost $8,000 to do necessary repairs, and the truck's worth $5,000. So we're stuck that way, and this is perennial. We should be putting money away every year, because we're always gonna need, pretty
Absolutely,
soon, a new truck.
absolutely.
So right now, they got the pumper, they got the tanker, and they've got, I think
This
it's
probably
like
should have
2.
been an upper conversation.
Well, the problem with ARPA was, and why we didn't, I think why we stayed away from the ARPA was because federal funds can't.
Right, so, right, the grant. If,
Um,
but that's a big if.
Well, obviously, it doesn't look like it's going well. I honestly think my recommendation would be, if they don't get the grant, then they should go for, try to get enough support and go for an override. If the town votes it through, then they have the support of the community to do it.
I think they've backed
Otherwise,
off.
we can't, I mean, I don't know where we're getting.
Out of the
it
fund, out
No,
of
we
the
don't
budget.
have the money,
No.
but I'd push for that. I mean, if we start now, maybe in a year, we'll have the money,
Yeah.
and then you have to wait for the engines.
Mhm.
For a while, they were looking for a Quint. It's essentially a small ladder truck. And they could probably get along with just another pump and another engine.
Mhm.
That's what it sounded like.
Yeah. But we gotta do something. It's just worse every
Oh,
day.
I agree, but I think if it has to be on a ballot
Yeah,
for an override question, so.
Yeah, for sure.
That'll be in November. They can have a ballot.
I'll tell them to start working on
You gotta see if you got support.
it. Yes.
Right.
Beat the drum.
I mean, there's gonna be a day that both their trucks are not in good shape.
No.
Even the newer truck is not.
No, they all have problems.
So, and we borrowed one already from Barry for 3 months, but we got the other one fixed.
Fixed, right.
Yeah, and it's killing them to keep fixing it.
Yeah, it's a kind of a waste of money at this point. All right, committee reports.
Our meeting is next Tuesday, so I gave them to you at the last meeting, so I don't have to have them at the next meeting.
I'm supposed to report on the capital planning committee. The chair asked me to speak and just say that we're on it, and we've asked Nicole for a list of assets, town assets. And we don't have any real particular items yet, but we're starting to get into it.
She have a list of liabilities?
They probably would go on the same list, right?
Pretty much. Miscellaneous correspondence, anything?
No.
Town administrator report?
I'm sorry they're not in your packet, but here they are. Do you want me to go over it? Or the new stuff?
Yeah, why don't you go over the new stuff, the stuff he feels is most important.
Okay. So we always give an update to regarding the USDA project. The first treatment plant will be going out to bid soon. I don't have the exact dates, but the RFQs for the sub-bidder and general contractor are due Wednesday, August 30th at 10 a.m. We have lots of bids coming in. The debt repayment is still being discussed, and the oversight. You sent a new RFP. And so I've been looking at that and working on that and still trying to get wastewater because we've only gotten the blue heron so far. So there's that. It's moving along fantastically, actually. And were you on the phone on what, last Thursday? Ricciardi is,
The week of the 19th,
yeah.
we should be back.
Yep, they'll be back this September 19th, or the week of that week.
Yeah.
Excuse me, you sent out, Kelly sent out something to look at. Can we decide to use that? And
I think it needs to be tweaked a little bit. I mean, it's very basic, but I think it touches everything that we thought we wanted in some way. And I think, you probably need legal jargon in there to, right? I'm just, if it's gonna go out to, bid per se, probably should have some maybe town council just
well,
add
can we
seal.
deal with that? I can send it and the projected job to Graves Engineering. They're willing to look at this and bid on it, give us a price, and Blue Heron seemed fine.
Mm-hmm.
So, do we want to keep tweaking it, or?
I think we need to, Rob, did you look at it?
I did, do I remember all of it?
It was bare bones.
It was very, because I don't, so again, I think it needs some contract jargon inserted into it. I literally just took from,
Why don't we put it on our next agenda?
Okay.
Let's just.
so if everyone can go through it
Right,
and,
we'll just clean it
add
up
or
and
subtract
then
and
we'll send it to legal afterwards.
just for its,
No.
I'm sure
And then we
there's.
can start sending it out.
Mhm. Yeah.
Thank you.
So FY23 should be closed soon. My goal was the first week of September. The first year I was here, it was almost in December. But it really should be done by the end of July. We are very limited with staff, so I can see how it would take a little longer, but I absolutely want to make sure that at least the last week of August it's done. But they're working on it. They're very close. They're already reporting to DOR, so we should be looking good for a free cash certification, like hopefully within the next 6 weeks. Greenwich Road Drainage Project is being conducted currently. There's also limited in staff, so it's taking extra time. Expect delays. Please, if it's possible, seek alternate routes. With the restructuring of the highway, we're exploring new heating options for this building. We're told we're gonna have to deal with it for this winter season, and we're just gonna have to be more diligent on the flushing, and maybe get some sort of bell or something like that, some sort of notification, an alarm system that tells us if it's starting to fill up too much. So hopefully we'll have that very soon.
That won't happen, unless it alarms like someone's cell phone too or something.
Yeah.
You'll hear it if you're here.
No, we'd have to go
But
to
it
our
would be
cell
like
phones.
a-
It would be
yeah,
like
okay.
the police,
Yeah.
highway, Ryan, me, we would all be getting it. Fire,
Everybody,
like somebody has to get here and flush
all
the
the
thing.
world and
Right.
get them here.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I'm pretty close too, so keep that in mind.
yeah.
I'm right
Yep.
there. I'm right
Oh,
there.
yeah, right, okay.
Just,
So there was some damage to the Page Library fields from the fair. The committee is working on getting a quote to have it repaired. There was no parking on the fields, and we sent out a code red, and we made sure that they barricaded the fields that people park in this year because they were so saturated. But I think they just overlooked the library, and that's where people park, and they just know that they can park there. And unfortunately,
It's the wettest
it was
area
the
in
wettest.
town.
So I think going forward, I think it's probably best that everybody just park at Eagle Hill and not on these grass lots. But
it's okay on during a dry summer, but not this summer.
and then people just get used to it and they just want to park there anyway. So, capital planning met on Monday, August 21st. There were several requests from departments regarding capital needs. A lot of them were building repairs, and we have another meeting next month, and we can report on all the findings after that because we are still getting the reports in and requests in. So, and that's that, and
Well, this is
be on the website.
Thank you, Nicole. All right, we got any signatures?
I do have chapter 90, and then she actually put exactly where everybody needs to sign.
Love Lori.
I know.
So it's
I guess also, I could add, if you don't mind, tomorrow I have a meeting with the Hubbardston Town Administrator to go over other intermunicipal regional agreements that we might be able to capitalize on from a report that was done in like 2018. It wasn't, fully.
nice.
So I'm meeting with him tomorrow at 10. See what happens with that.
I have one page. One second.
Yeah, I think she only
Sure, make sure.
tapped it.
Nicole, I asked Nicole about the retainers for the PFAS lawsuits, and she said, you said you would get to the attorney. Well, they're pushing me to sign. I've signed for Gilbertville Water District, but not Wheelwright and Hardwick. And these are big lawsuits. I don't know.
You can sign it, you can sign it. I just never got back to you, I'm sorry, you can sign it.
Oh, okay, yeah,
I heard back from the legal, but I just forgot to tell you, I'm sorry.
oh, what'd they say?
He said there's nothing wrong with joining it. Nothing
Right,
that's going to, put Hardwick in jeopardy at all.
right.
That's what I was worried about, us being on the hook for something, but we're not.
Perfect. We gotta clean that stuff up.
Yeah,
Anything else?
I don't have anything else.
Select board round table. Either you have anything to add? Any more discussion?
I'm good.
That will bring us to the last item. Is
Adjourn, I move that we adjourn.
I was like, wait, there's something else on here. I'll second
Big
that.
A.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Thank you, everyone.
I know, that's,
You want all these papers back too?
do you want to keep the
No,
paper?
no, because
I will recycle and keep. If you guys don't want it, just leave it on the table. And I will recycle and, well, Sandy will recycle and use all of
Yep.
these things over
There you
again.
go.
Yep.
oh, this is an old, these are all.
One more day.
Only a couple things.
Yeah.
Is this my pen?
I put pens out for you guys in case you forget them. If you want to take it, you absolutely can. I think I got that at a conference.
We'll go back to the box.
You guys gotta use your little iPad.
No.
It's so convenient.
You know, I use that at work,
I think it's right.
but I find that even then, I have my computer on, I have the backup screen and the iPad.
So I have to say, I don't